Well, hello and welcome back to the Wheelhouse Cycling Podcast. It's been a minute. It's been flu season. We've had a bit of sleep deprivation around Grand Tour time, the Women's Vuelta, the Giro d'Italia. Henk Vogels, you're in the studio with me today. How are you doing, Henk?
I'm good. A lot better than by the sounds of you lot.
I'll try not to cough at any point on microphone today.
Doesn't matter. I've had my flu shot.
Yeah, excellent. Okay.
Got it straight done straight away as soon as I heard the horror stories of you and Merckxy the last couple of weeks. I went straight down to the doc and got the jab.
I think that's prudent. Merckxy, you're here. How are you feeling?
Yeah, I'm here. The camera's... you can't see me today.
No.
But there's a guest on the desk. We've got to talk about that.
We do.
This is the Paris
And
edition.
it's not Joel.
No, Joel is not here today. He'll be back next week. But we've got Paris. So Paris is my mum's toy poodle.
But it's a real dog. It's not a toy.
It is a real dog.
But it's a toy poodle.
Jude's gone on an adventure to Cape York and left us with Paris, and she was crying so much that I couldn't leave her at home, and then I couldn't leave her on the ground, so she's on the desk.
Is she?
And she's quite well behaved for the moment.
She's very well behaved.
Is she still breathing?
She's still breathing.
Okay, she's not moving.
Merckxy,
Okay.
come on now.
That would
she's
not be
exhausted too.
Live on the podcast.
It would really.
No, let's
please,
not go
Paris, Don't do that.
there. Let's not go there.
Henk, we've got so much to talk about because Grand Tour season time.
Yes.
Now, since we've been gone, Caleb Ewan has retired. What do you think about
the classics are gone.
The classics are gone.
My favourite time of the year.
Oh, no.
What do I think about that?
Yeah.
I think it's good because I always say if the computer chip's broken, the car is never going to work. So if the brain doesn't work, you can't push and you can't, take those huge risks as a sprinter. And listen, he's come back. He obviously still had the itch. He got a win, proved everyone wrong who doubted him in the end, and then just went, hey, listen, I pretty much got what I needed to get done. And like when I retired in 2008, it was, if if your brain's not working and you really don't want to just push as a bike rider, then yeah, it's the best thing to do for him. So young family, I get it. He's been around a long, long time. He's had great wins. I still think he could have ridden for a few more years, but if your heart's not in it, you just can't. You can't do this sport.
Well, what about the people who say, like, what a waste? What do you reckon?
No, I don't. I mean, I actually said that. When Grace Brown retired. I was
you
like,
did, on this very podcast.
You're going to make $1 million a year, Grace. What are you thinking? So I kind of understand it. But Caleb, I think he's fine financially. I think he was just thinking family-wise. And, yeah, so when your head's not in it, you just got to stop. I don't think he can suffer that much.
But he's got a place on the sunny coast, is that right?
Yeah, I think he's got a few.
But up
there is somewhere. I think he's got a house up on Sunshine Beach.
He might join your bunchy, Hank.
Yeah, well, no chance of me ever winning a sprint again.
Not to a town sign anymore. That's done.
Was it the fire station ride? Do they still do that up there?
No, they do. They do one. No, they kind of come down to Twin Waters. It's actually a pretty strong bunch. There's a lot of triathletes up there.
I mean, let's be honest. If Caleb Ewan is sprinting for town signs in your local bunchy, the winner's kind of whoever comes behind Caleb Ewan.
Yeah. Well, exactly. We're racing for second.
Yeah.
We're racing for second. If he's rolling along, he could win it with, I reckon, maybe one leg.
He could literally duck under your arm, so you need to keep those elbows tight.
Yeah, not getting a sit on him on the bunch is like the worst wheel to sit on, right? It's got to be. He'd be riding a 49-centimetre bike, surely.
It's a small frame. Yeah, look, he's had a great career, and I think good luck to him. He's young, so a lot of life to live. It'll be interesting to see where he takes his career.
Yeah, I'm interested to see what he wants to do next. If it's just family time, or be involved in the cycling world in some way, shape or form, in some kind of technical director role.
He's still young enough for another sport. What about like triathlon?
Oh, God, don't go there. Every cyclist wants to go and be a triathlon.
Why?
No. Well, if you can't suffer on a bike, you're certainly not going to be able to do that sport. That's insanity. Like I don't know how anyone does a marathon after getting off a bike after doing 180k. Chapeau to those guys that do it well, and do it even finish one. I did once, Bustleton Ironman with John McLean in the wheelchair and Kai Hurst as the swimmer.
Wow.
Now, Kai gave us 7 minutes lead out of the swim. So it was this 60K loop. I didn't see anyone for the first 65Ks. I didn't even know I was going the right way when I did it.
Hold on. If you had a 7-minute lead, how did anybody even catch you?
Well, it was a teams event, right?
Right.
So, no one caught me. I did a 420. This is 2005 on a road bike with training wheels with old tyres that had nearly holes in them. I did like a 424 on a road bike. And then John McLean did the marathon in his wheelchair. So we did actually break the unofficial world record for that, but it was all for charity, and it was an amazing event. Met some great people. So I love triathlon. It's a cool sport. But
What a legend.
It seems to be the thing where cyclists. Who was the pro last year that retired from Q3 6.5 and went Aussie cyclist who retired and did triathlon? Jimmy Whelan.
Oh, yeah. Oh, well, God, he's so talented, though. He's the kind of athlete who could probably do one of 10 sports.
Yeah.
And then you've got Cam Worth,
yeah,
who's still doing World Tour and Ironman.
Yeah, he's just a freakazoid and did rowing and,
Yeah.
You know, what else? He probably, does rock climbing in his time off or something.
Probably.
So,
to throw a skill element into all of the lung power that he has.
Oh, yeah. I was a DS when he was racing before his world tour, and he's a very, very, very strong rider. So anyway, let's hope Caleb still stays involved, but enjoys his retirement.
Guys, I mean, you've got to look at the parallels. The Perth Bears are kicking off, and Caleb retires. I'm just saying.
The parallels of what? Sorry, I missed that.
I think Merckxy's alluding that Caleb might be off to the Perth Bears.
Well, it's no coincidence.
Well, isn't it? I don't know.
It could be a halfback.
Sam Wellsford, maybe. I mean, he's still got the shoulders for it. Let's go to Italy. I love the Giro.
Oh, it's the best race of the year.
It just really
always
is.
It's always the best race of the year.
Always so
I loved
entertaining. We've got quite a ding-dong battle happening for GC, and the next days are going to be interesting. But let's talk. We're through stage 11 at this point. We've had
halfway
11 stages, 7 different nations represented in that 11, 7 different teams represented in that 11. 11 minus 7 is 4. That's how many stages Mads Pedersen has won.
What a freak.
He's just having the season of his life.
He is. It kind of reminds me of the season Van Aert was going unbelievable in the classics, and then he won stages and riding off the front in the yellow jersey in the Tour where Vingegaard won. He's having one of those complete seasons where he's just a force to be reckoned with in the classics, and then rocks up, takes the jersey, wins stage after stage after stage, and not only that, helping his teammates as well now in GC. So he's been another level. And what's really amazing to me is that he won the Worlds like a decade ago.
Yeah.
And he's now having the best season of his life. Like world champion in Harrogate. This is a decade ago. Is it about I'm pretty sure. I'll have to fact check me on this, but it was a long time ago. So he backs up. And it was great to see in the classics too, like 3 ex-world champions up the road in Flanders and Roubaix. So for him to be winning these bunch sprints in the pink jersey, that's so powerful for him, not only in those medium stages, but actual bunch sprints too, boxing on with all the sprinters. So
it's 2019 that he won Worlds. Feels
like 10 years ago.
He's now got 6
years ago.
Grand Tour stage victories. He's very clearly on fire and enjoying his position of freedom around that. You mentioned Van Aert. I'm so glad you did. He's back. Sorry, Merckxy. But even you were excited. It was on a queen stage of sorts because of the gravel. Personally, after a tough start to the season, I think it's really great to see him back on top.
Yeah, I saw a snippet on Instagram reel the other day of Van Aert's first crack at Strade Bianche where he cramped, fell off his bike, cramped trying to get back on his bike to cramp finishing, even before he was in a big team. He's won Strade Bianche. He's now won coming back from pretty much a horrific last 8 to 10 months, He's struggled to come back, and people say he struggled, but he's run third and fourth in Flanders, which has been
that's
solid, right?
Pretty high expectations. When they say struggle, they mean to win, not to be present.
But it just shows you the kind of level and what's expected of those superstars, So for him to have a solid classic season, and you got to remember, all of Belgium Belgian people are all just expecting him to go to toe-to-toe with Pog and, Van der Poel, and they're the two best riders in the world currently. So for him to finish third and fourth, and then really emotional win by him. And I'm not sure if you saw the footage, Kate, but him finishing up that last climb with Del Toro, the new kid on the block, and we'll talk about him a bit later. He threw the kitchen sink at him up that last climb, and Van Aert just dug his heels in and used his, immense talent, and I'll also say experience, to go around him on the only place he could after the top of the climb. And Del Toro actually threw his hand in the air a bit like, how dare you, which is a bit of a shit move, actually.
I really fell in love with the way Del Toro races at Tour Down Under. Like, he's a really exciting
That's where he started.
racer. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so I think that even for Aussies, there's a little attachment there.
Yeah.
Speaking of Aussies, we've had a pretty good Giro. Well, maybe some mixed fortunes. 2 stage wins. Luke Plapp, let's talk about that first. That was bloody brilliant ride.
Yeah, did you notice that Plappy said he knew he may get distance on the descent, so he went.
It's
which
smart.
For me he's a smart bike rider. Plappy's quite a calculated young man. He knows he's not the best descender on earth, and he thought, listen, I may get distance here. I'm just going to go. And I'm not sure if you saw his attack, but it was on a very difficult point, and he wasn't riding a small gear. He's got some watts, that kid, I'm telling you. And I still call him a kid because I feel as though I've grown up with him, coming through, Pat Lane's program in Inform back in the day, into Ineos and now into Green Energy's home. So for him to win his first Grand Tour stage for Luke Plapp. So, and I did see some comments where he said, "No more Mr. January." So I thought that was good. And it was also good that he said, "But I'll be back in January."
Yeah. I'm not discounting January. It's just not just January anymore. He's got a lot of heart, the kid. To win solo, but also the self-awareness to know that his descending isn't the best. If he really works on that, how much more of a threat will he be?
Well, he lives in Bright, so he's got enough places to, work on that. And I think you either can or you can't descend. But if you do descend a lot more, you do get your skills a bit better. Now, I mean, maybe it's not a bad thing if he's not the world's best descender, because you lose more races trying to, make risks on descents, a la Richie Porte. Richie lost Tour de France's by trying to stay.
He lost the Olympics.
So exactly.
On a descent too.
But he does crash a lot, Plappy. So he's a little bit gun shy at the moment. And for every cyclist out there, they all know this. When you have a crash, no matter whether you're on the bunch ride, on a Sunday coffee ride, or you're doing a local crit, or you're doing any kind of race, when you crash, you're gun shy through all the corners. So I've had that, and I consider myself a good descender and someone who can go around a corner in the wet and never have an issue. But if you crash, I reckon for a good month, the body goes and the mind goes into that mode where you're just taking care of yourself, and you think, I don't know if I can do that. And I think he's had so many crashes. He crashed in the Olympics. He's crashed in this tour. He crashed in the time trial and the Giro. So he probably was thinking of that. So for me, that's probably what's going on. And last night, actually, he did get distance on the descent, but come back. So, and unfortunately couldn't take the stage because Little Trek bring him back. So, and I must, just going back on Pedersen, they have had a fantastic year.
Yeah, they really have.
They really have been one of the best teams in the world. And I think they've improved immensely, and they've just got stronger and stronger as the years gone by. And I think that's got a lot to do with them having so much faith in Mads. They've just gone, this guy's going, let's back him. He's our undisputed king. He's our leader. He's our heart and soul. So nice to see it's not just UAE Emirates.
It is, well,
and Jumbo Visma. So
and they've won 2 sets of stages. Mads with his 4, but also Dan Uller won stage 10. So that also shows a real comfort in the riders feeling like they all have an opportunity, even with a superstar like Mads.
Oh, it's tick,
Good team
tick,
culture.
and tick.
Tick, and tick. The other tick, Kaden Groves, the Gympie boy.
Oh, he
took another Grand Tour stage win.
He's such a classy bike rider and very underrated in the world of sprinters that we live in.
That's
currently.
interesting. Why do you say that?
I just think he's underrated. He's on the team with Mathieu van der Poel and Jasper Philipsen. He's like their second string sprinter. But how many Grand Tour stages has he won? 7 now?
9.
9.
Yeah.
There you go. Name 9. Okay, forget Mark Cavendish and Mario Cipollini
But
and
name
the absolute legend sprinters of our generation, Kate. And I'm talking late 90s, early 2000s into our current era. There's not many that have won 10 to 15 Grand Tour stages. They're all legends of the sport. He's knocking on the door. Kaden is knocking on the door of being that guy. So, and still think it's strange that he went with Alpecin de Koning this year, being the second string sprinter. And, he's been promised to go to the Tour, but he's won his stage, and who's to say he won't win a few more with the form? Because when he did win this Giro stage, he pantsed him. So it was 5 lengths. So, and having said that, that was a neutralised stage that day because there was a gigantic crash, but it's still a bunch sprint in a Grand Tour. So,
well, let's talk about that stage because there was a little bit of carnage. It was wet, slippery, terrible conditions. Jai Hindley, he's out. He came down heavily, broke his a vertebra, so a lumbar, L3. So that's going to take a bit of time. He's looking to come back for the Vuelta. And between now and then, he just has to focus on rehabbing and getting better.
So they said he's got to have an extended period of time off the bike?
Yeah, they haven't come out with firm details, but he has himself on social media said, I'll take my time now. I'll come back for the end of the season. There's not a huge rush. But it's a hard blow for him, but also for Roglic. Like that really changes their team dynamics. We'll talk about GC, but I want to mention on that day as well, Jan Hurt from Israel Premier Tech. He fell, finished the stage, turned out he had a broken femur. He finished the stage with a broken leg.
He must have been in an enormous amount of pain.
He must have had so much adrenaline to be able to do that.
But adrenaline doesn't last very long.
It doesn't last the whole stage.
He's gone through that adrenaline. So was that mid-stage, late stage?
No, it was mid-stage that it happened.
So he did another couple of hours with a broken femur. Could you imagine the noises that he was dealing with?
Oh.
Could you crunch? No. If anyone's had a broken bone, and I'm sure a lot of our listeners have, you know that you've broken it. So for him to keep going, he must have some intestinal fortitude.
Yeah. Oh.
I've actually got a story about that.
Well, tell us.
Can I tell you a story?
Please do.
I did the Giro in 2005, and we had this hard man, Christoph Brandt, and we started the Giro, and the first 4 stages were in Belgium. Now we took the pink jersey with Robbie McEwen. He won 2 stages in Italy. Fantastic time for the team. But then we went into Liège. Now Christoph Brandt was from Liège, and they finished up the Wall of Namur, which is like this kind of cobbled climb. And 40k to go. It was piss and rain. He's gone down. I've kind of like seen him on the ground, but he's like, keep going, gets up. He comes back through the bunch, and I could see his forearm, the bone. So not protruding through the skin, but his wrist, there was a bone sticking up and a bone sticking out, and he was riding with one hand with his arm like this. He rode past the bunch and finished like top 25 in that stage and begged the team to let him keep going with a broken wrist. So there are psychos out there that don't really realise that they can't continue. But Contador also had the same thing some years ago with a broken knee, I think. So
It's a disturbingly common story,
it's
actually.
kind of psychotic, really, that you think you can continue with a broken bone in your body to do.
Yeah, I think
to
you wake up
continue on.
the next day and you realise maybe that wasn't the best idea. Let's talk about GC. It's changed. The Maglia Rosa has changed shoulders a few times. Wonderfully, Diego Ulissi, 35 years of age, he took it on stage 8, the first Italian in 4 years to wear the Maglia Rosa. It's pretty special for an Italian. I would argue more special for an Italian to wear the leader's jersey than a French rider at the Tour de France.
I totally agree with you. He would have been in tears for hours and probably still crying when he thinks about it because, that is the epitome of everything that every Italian cyclist wants from the age, of 10 when they first get on their bike. They're watching, even Basso and all the legends of the Giro for Ulissi to do that. Is it the first time he's been in it? I think it is the first time he's been in the leader's jersey.
It is, yeah.
I know you're Googling frantically
I've
there.
got, I'll plug them, Pro Cycling Stats. I've got that open here because I thought just in case we need to fact check ourselves here.
No, but for him to take that, and it's surprising that that's the first time in 4 years that we have that. So
Paris, if you can hear the dog grumbling, she just saw herself on the screen.
I thought that was Hank's stomach.
And
we're going to have to turn her around.
Wants to fight herself.
That's hilarious.
Bless her.
No, unreal.
Yeah, he's won 8 stages of the Giro, but never in the pink. So that is fantastic.
Just 8.
Just 8.
My
Let's
God.
talk about
What a great career.
GC because as it currently stands, UAE Emirates are sitting in 1 and 2.
A great place to be.
Yeah, with Del Toro and Ayuso. Is it a great place to be? I mean, it is for the team, but how's this going to play out? How are they going to go for the victory and protect each other to make sure that a Roglic doesn't step up? If we're looking at GC, there's still quite a few names, Bernal, Carapaz, even Chris Harper's not too far off.
Yeah, see, I think that the undisputed leader of UAE is Ewan Ayuso. He has his worst result this year is 6th in any race. He's on fire. He is the next king coming out of that team. And an unbelievable backup for Pogacar, who will be around for a long time, I might add. But Ayuso is having the year of his life. He was sick. I think he was sick in Paris and he runs 6th. So
yeah, not bad.
I think he's going to ride away from everyone. I think Del Toro has a huge amount of power, but he's fired a few bullets early in this Giro, like attacking with Van Aert on the Strade Bianche day into that stage. That would have hurt him deeply. Whereas Ayuso, I think when the big mountains arrive, he will be their man. But what a great position for them to be in personally. As a DS, you have to manage their egos.
How do you manage those egos?
They are two huge egos, I can guarantee you. They think they're the new king of the castle. Well, so
well, before you break into song, please do. What does the team meeting look like when you're sitting 1-2? We've got 3 kind of relatively non-GC days coming up, but then some really high mountains, including the Queen stage with over 5,000 metres vertical on stage 19. A lot of GC days stacked before that. What are the team instructions on stage 15 when they go up Monte Grappa, the next GC stage?
Well,
what are you telling them?
DSs love this terminology, and you've heard it in heaps of press conferences, a 2-pronged attack.
Oh, yes. It's like in the rugby league where they say credit to the boys.
Yeah. So I just think that they will shelter those 2 guys, and I think the elevation will take care of itself, and you'll see who the strongest guys are, because Roglic is going to go at a certain point. Bernal's going to go at a certain point. Simon Yates is still there, and Carapaz is going to attack a lot. So I think they're just going to send those guys up the road, and they'll work in conjunction, and the best guy will win.
But a 2-pronged attack, means that they have to be working together. You know, like one goes, the next goes, they play off each other. Will Del Toro and Ayuso do that?
I think they're going to have to. I think they're really going to have to. And the one
for the sake of the team, and their reputation,
they both think they can ride. They both think they can win this tour, and I think it will just work itself out organically. I think it's going to work itself out organically for that team, because no matter what you do, I don't want to do this, and I want to take care of myself. It's going to get to the point, especially on those days where you, like you said, the 5,000 elevation day, it just works itself out physically. So you will see it. Neither will be riding for the other. They will just go up the hill, and whoever cracks first will be the one that has to work for the other one. That's the way I see it.
Okay, so the opportunities for the Aussies: Michael Storer, 3 minutes 20 down; Chris Harper, 4:35 down. Good opportunities for stages, or are they too close to GC?
They're done. At 3.5 minutes, you're not putting 3.5 minutes into UAE Emirates unless they stuff up, unless UAE say let a group of 15 guys go up to 20 minutes of the road. In pro cycling nowadays, they don't do it. It happened in the Tour 20 years ago. They let a big breakaway go out to 20 plus minutes, and now they all fought over who's going to do it. That just doesn't happen these days. So they always keep a tight leash on big groups on mountain days.
Okay, so what about an interesting scenario where McNulty and Adam Yates, both UAE, sitting in 8th and 9th, what if one of those two were to be in a break with a Michael Storer or a Chris Harper? Are they riding or are they sitting?
Oh, they won't ride.
They won't ride?
No, they won't ride. No, they'll sit the wheel and have a free ride all day.
In terms of sheer numbers, UAE are so dominant because Red Bull, I mean, you can't go past what Primoz Roglic is capable of, but that was a big blow losing Hindley, so he's not in the same position as UAE.
No, well, I mean, Roglic has Pellizzari at 3:49, who's the only other climber really there. The rest are an hour down. So, I mean, Jai Vine's there, you've got Yates, you've got, they have 5 guys who will be in the mountains, UAE. So they're by far and away the strongest team. They're never going to have any issues. I doubt it very much. They're going to put everyone else in issues. UAE are just so strong. So,
and Jai Vine will be very helpful. He's a long way down GC, so he is purely just the workhorse.
And he's the guy that can still be there with 15 riders left.
But when you look at the top 10, and there's 4 of them from UAE in the top 10, and then you look at the fact that Jai Vine is way down the back but still capable of climbing in that group, that's tremendous depth.
No, it is, and kind of scary for the tour.
Yeah,
because
this is Pog's not even there.
Yeah, so Pog's not there. So, and who said they don't need salary caps in cycling when you have 5 of the best bike, almost, now I wouldn't put 5 in the best 10 bike riders in the world, but they've got an unbelievable amount of depth, and they are not going to be in any kind of trouble unless Primoz gets the form of what he had 3 or 4 years ago. Which was unbelievable.
I'm a very big proponent for salary caps.
Very
big. As the sport grows to the point that you need it, if you look at the NRL, we're seeing a situation in Brisbane where Adam Reynolds, he's the captain, isn't he, Merckxy? It's not my team.
No, he's the captain.
He's the captain, right. But next year, they don't have enough room salary cap-wise for him and their up-and-coming top players who are wanting more money. So he's said, for the sake of the team, he'll call it at the end of the year and go into a coaching role to make sure that the team can still keep their core up-and-coming group. Like, that is a champion, like Team Lime. That's fantastic. I don't think in cycling we see that same team loyalty. And salary caps would change the dynamic in the team a lot.
Or a draft.
Yeah, or a draft. I mean, draft's AFL. A bit more complicated, but...
No. Salary, it has to be salary cap. I mean, come on, UAE, we're talking Saudi money against French supermarket money. There's no, like, how can Arkea be anything like what UAE or Frances de Joux be anything like what UAE? We're talking 4 times double, if not 3 times the budget. How can they survive?
But I reckon UAE would be cranky. They'd be like, but we do have the money, so it's not our fault they don't.
Well, that's... I'm with you on. I believe if you want to equalise sport up, but you know what? Our sport's so freaking far behind. It's our federation that should be controlling this kind of stuff, so that they can control all the money and the television, so the riders get paid. So anyway, don't get me started on this.
WTF, UCI, bring that back. I would love people to drop in the comments their view on salary caps, and we can, break it down a little bit more. Before we leave Italy and the Giro, there's been more animals on course. Nearly a goat, taking quite a few riders out. Dion Smith, he came out. I don't know how he didn't fall, with the goat literally trying to kick him off his bike.
Well, I mean, I'm not surprised that doesn't happen a lot more. I've been in a bike race in the late 90s. Just animals in general. Like there was a guy in... Like I think I've told this story on this podcast before, where the Glenn Mitchell in the Tour of Southland, and when I was racing, a sheep fell on his back. So it ran off the side of the road and just landed on his back, rolled off him, and went down to the next paddock. And I've been in a race where a horse has cut the pillow in half. So
it's quite a story.
It is quite a story.
There's bad days and then there's bad days. You know.
Well,
how was your race today? Well, I got. A sheep landed on my back.
Well,
a goat kicked me.
Exactly. I mean, dogs are a constant threat. I've seen Dave McKenzie, our old compatriot on SBS. I've seen him get hit, T-boned by a dog and break his collarbone in a crosswind, and he was head down crosswind. The dog just went straight into him at 50k an hour, and that was his son tour over. He was about 5 wheels in front of me. He saw it all happen. It happens more regularly than you think, especially with dogs, because they just want to chase stuff.
You think don't take a dog to a bike race. Like, you can put a dog on a leash, but a horse, a wild goat, a wild sheep, like it's a bit tougher.
It's the helicopters that spook the animals and then they go running. That's the go. It's the overhead. It's the overhead helicopters that really upset everyone. That's how the animals get out.
Well, I wanted to see if this was a cycling thing, and a quick little Google search. There was a squirrel that interrupted the MLB playoffs. They called him Rally Squirrel. There was a bear who caused a suspension of play at a baseball game in Alaska. That's pretty iconic.
That's
a bear.
awesome.
That'd be pretty terrifying, actually. That'd be way scarier than a goat.
Do you think in WA they're going to bring out a bear at halftime? The new bears?
Yes.
An actual bear, you think?
Yeah, just like the Lions we're going to do here in Brisbane, and they got shut down.
They wanted a lion. Oh, God.
Well, they do a horse at the Broncos at halftime,
They do.
right?
There was a kangaroo on Mount Panorama one year at the Supercars race.
Yes. There's been dolphins that have interrupted sailing. That's kind of...
That's weird.
That's
they
kind
just
of
get
pretty,
out the
though.
way.
And then this is a bit scary if you're into superstitions. A black cat made an appearance in an NFL game between the Patriots and
Poor
the Giants.
Putty cat.
Poor Putty cat.
And we've got a black dog that made
We
an
do.
appearance on our podcast here today.
We do.
Paris, who's been very good on my name.
Yes, Merckxy, don't show her on the screen. She'll start barking again.
No, the antihistamine really drugged her up, huh?
Oh, hey, stop it.
She's really calm.
It is one of my greatest fears is that something would happen to Paris while my mum's gone. She is wrapped in cotton wool.
Oh, no.
While we're caretaker.
Could you
Let's
imagine?
go back and go to the Vuelta. The women's Vuelta was on. I always find it very odd timing for the
It feels
Vuelta to
strange.
be up first. But for the women it is Vuelta, then Giro, then Tour de France. So Demi Vollering, she's just the queen of consistency. She defended her title, but with a new team with FDJ.
Mm-hmm.
She copped a bit of flack for her personality and her approach and style to racing. And a lot of people questioned whether she could continue her dominance at a new team. She's kind of proven the haters wrong.
Well, gravity's still the same as it was when she was on the last team, right? So she seems to be that athlete that when it gets hard, she's just the best. So, she is, you know what? You don't need to talk, I believe, when you're...
Just do.
When you're so...
Less talk.
When you're that good, you just ride everyone out the wheel and they all shut up pretty quickly.
I have a question.
Shoot.
You can't see me though. Demi comes to your team. Do you lift when you're a teammate? Do you lift because someone legendary is on your team?
I think so.
Yes.
I think you lift for purpose.
When you believe.
Yeah, FDJ did a really good job supporting her from a team perspective. And with a team that maybe on paper isn't the strongest, but I think when they know they can win a Grand Tour, when they know they're part of something so big and their job really counts, it makes a difference. Because let's be honest, it is hard to motivate yourself some days when nobody in your team is in a particularly good spot to win and you're kind of like, let's all work really hard and then maybe they'll make a top 10. Doesn't quite cut the same as if we do this right, we can win the Vuelta.
No, 100%. And it's like same thing for sprinters. If you know your sprinter's kind of a top 10er, you just do your job. You know, but if you've got the world's best, you're like, you have to do this. Otherwise it's on me.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And then it comes back on you. Or I told you to be there, okay to go, but you weren't, and then I lost the wheel and da-da-da. You do. And they talk about it when you get the jersey, you ride better than you normally do. But, I mean, for me, that's really the DS's job. And they've got to be commended that they're obviously working with a difficult athlete, but they know she's the best. So that's the whole job of the director sportive, is putting those people around and having those guidelines from start to finish and how to motivate, because being a good motivating director sportive is huge. You've got to, and that starts the year before also with your current list.
All right, come on. You've done a fair bit of DSing in your career, Henk.
Yes.
Have you got any go-to pep talks, any Ted Lasso moments where you just know it'll fire them up?
Well, I used to pull the one, I have to think about this, but I always used to pull out the one comment and I'd finish with it like the mic drop is like, the worst feeling that you boys will ever have in your life is regret. It's just, if I would have, should have,
say it again, deliver it again.
The worst feeling you fellas will ever have is regret. So it really hurts. It hurts me still to this day, regretting things that I could, should have, would have. And I actually bring that out too. I don't want to hear could have, would have, and should have. Just freaking do. So, the regret thing at the end of their careers, how they regretted not doing this or that, it hurts.
So a couple of weeks ago for Amy's Foundation, we relaunched, changed from Amy Gillett Foundation to Amy's Foundation. Mm-hmm. And we had an event. You were sadly unable to attend because you had a family wedding,
yes.
Hank. Otherwise, you'd be part of the story.
Which was fantastic,
And we had some alumni along, including...
legends.
We had some legends. We had Grace Brown, Gracie Elvin, Scott McGrory, Simon Gerrans, Phil Anderson, Clyde Sefton, Australia's only Olympic road race medalist.
He did that with my dad, that Olympics.
I know.
You know that?
He's such a wonderful fella.
Yeah.
He had some
ripper.
Just fantastic stories. And each night they got up and kind of shared some of their stories and experiences. But the best night, and this is not just my bias, but from feedback, was when we had my sister, so Natalie Bates, Kabish, Olivia Golan and Anoni Wood. And the three of them were teammates with Amy. Mm-hmm. But more than that, they were in the Australian team together when they were racing in what was essentially the World Tour, but as a national team. And they were world number 1 2 years in a row. That was Nones. She's the only Australian to have done that. But Liv, she was on the podium at the Amstel Gold Race. Nat won a Commonwealth Games. But for the most part, Liv and Nat were workers. But the three of them telling stories together about their experiences, how they did it. It was so captivating and interesting, and it was a real reminder that so often we get people up to talk about how did you win or what was it like, but getting the three of them together to talk through some victories and some big defeats and some challenges, there's such a richness in that. And, back to your question, Merckxy, I think when you're part of a team like that, it is an individual sport in a way insofar as one person gets on the podium. But, these girls all got on the podium together at the Commonwealth Games when Nat won, and we got fined something along the lines of $15,000 for it.
You're joking?
No, they haven't. No one's ever done it since, because now they literally will physically stop you getting on the podium. But it was important. The 6 of us got on the podium to celebrate Nat's gold medal, because it was the year after Amy had died, and it was all about team. That's a pretty special feeling. So hearing Nat and Liv talk in particular, they're not going away saying, oh, yeah, we came 75th in the Giro. They're talking about what it was like to be part of such a successful unit. And with Demi Vollering at FDJ, it expands that. Now the whole team can lift and be part of something big.
Yes. No. I 100% see your point, and champion teams are the ones that make the great moments.
Yeah.
For sure.
And one of my even favourite moments from the event, we were riding every day, but a fella, Hamish Rothstein, came on the ride, and he hadn't had the chance to do a lot of preparation before it. We gave him the Tough Bugger award at the end.
Tough bugger.
Because he just kept going. You know, when we had a van behind us, you could jump in if you wanted. It was certainly not a race, but he was so determined, and he seemed more satisfied at the end of the day than any of the guys who jetted off the front, you know.
Yeah,
it's just a good
good
reminder. Marianne Vos, she's the constant. She got a stage win.
The GOAT.
Again, the GOAT in very treacherous conditions.
Just experience.
It makes the whole peloton lift when you've got these experienced riders who are just so consistent, and teams know they have to get creative to try and beat the likes of the Marianne Vos.
I was going to say, like, I don't know where you were going with that last comment, because I was like thinking, they were either pissed off that she was so good, and here we go again. She's going to keep winning bike races and keep winning bike races. But yeah, I mean, imagine having her in your team. Like, it'd be like a coach player. You know, you wouldn't need a DS if she was on the road.
Yeah.
Like, she would be calling the shots. Like, no, we're going to do this. No, you stop. Wait here. No, don't do that. Let it go. You know, that, or I'm going now. Just wait here. Break through the corner. Like, and it'd be like a DS on the road. What a luxury for them to have her involved with that team. And I heard she signed a lifetime contract. Is that right?
Yeah, so she will retire whenever she wants, but she'll stay with that squad
Director
until she does.
Sportive, manager role.
Yeah,
Maybe even take on the whole show.
She is so incredibly capable. I mean, obviously physically capable, but her strategic insight, the way she can read a bike race, the skills is phenomenal. It's a pleasure to race with her. At the end of my career, I got to race with her, and even though she pantsed me a number of times, it was a pleasure to watch
to see
how she did it.
Was.
Yeah, it was very impressive.
How does she do it? Like, how can she be winning races at this age? I still don't get it.
Well, physiologically, she's just, you know,
different with ladies too.
One
I
or
think,
two standard deviations above the rest of the pro peloton. You know, they're all a number of standard deviations above your average bunch rider, but she's in that really special
goat
category, you know, like
goat category.
Exactly, the goat category.
Should we just make a new category?
Just a goat.
Goat category.
The goats. It's
the goats.
Merckxy will attest to this. There is a little plug for Paramount Plus here, but they've put out an ad for their upcoming shows, but they've got a singing goat. Have you seen it?
I haven't.
It is the funniest ad. And when I first watched it, I actually said to Merckxy, this is such a good ad, but why is there a goat? Like, I had no idea why there was a singing goat. And he was like, you know, like, goat, like, these shows are the greatest of all time. And I was like, there you go.
Well, it's all these talking animals. Like, in America, it used to be Geico as the talking lizard. And then, you know, like the insurance thing with the talking ferret or whatever it is.
No.
It's an echidna.
Meerkats.
Meerkats,
oh,
yeah,
right.
talking
I thought
meerkats.
you were talking about RACQ, who have the echidnas.
Oh, well, that's another one.
Chatting.
So maybe we need Paris singing on ours for our...
Yeah. There's got to be an AI program for that.
The Finurgans worn off, obviously.
Merckxy.
There are no drugs taken on this podcast.
The animal welfare
just
crew are going to come
shots.
after us if you keep going.
Flu shots.
Now, before we wrap up today, I want to tell a story, and this one came from Sophie Smith. Her Substack is
Friend of the
Spokes, friend of the show. She's done an episode with me from Till Down Under a number of years ago.
She was very good.
And she's an excellent journalist. She writes, about the world tour, but she's also finding these really great community stories. Now, this one is a story about a guy called Fergal Guihen. He was a nurse turned bikepacker. He's riding 26,000 kilometres from Ireland to Australia. It's to raise money for palliative care and suicide prevention.
Awesome.
He's already had a lifetime of experiences as he makes his way. He's up around 70,000 euros that he's raised at the moment. He nearly froze to death, minus 22 at 4,000 metres across the Tibetan plateau.
Oh, my Lord.
He got drugged and mugged crossing Iran.
They steal his bike?
They did.
They stole his bike?
They did, yes.
Bastards.
He's doing...
Iranians.
Hey?
They can be tough.
They can be tough. But he wasn't even a cyclist before he set out on this journey. He used YouTube videos to learn how to change tubes and that sort of stuff.
God.
He's gone
Talk
through...
about flying on your seat of your pants.
What is it about cycling that brings out this sense of adventure? Jordana Blackman at Chicks Who Ride Bikes has a similar story that she signed up to ride a cancer charity ride, didn't even own a bike, didn't even really know how to ride a bike.
She just
signed up and then learned. This guy, not a bike rider, learning on YouTube.
What's his name again?
His name is Fergal Guihen.
It's so Irish.
How do you spell that surname?
Guihen.
Correct.
Yes. So for any Irish folk, feel free to correct me. I'm sure I'm butchering it.
That's okay. You're allowed to.
We can call him Fergs.
Fergs. I used to race with a guy by the name of Fergal Guihen. He was a sprinter.
Sounds also very Irish.
He used to put blokes over the fence at the Speed Dome on a regular Saturday night, every Saturday. Actually, the old man gave him a couple of months suspension for it. Yeah,
well,
put a few blokes over the fence.
Well, now we wish Fergal all the very best. When he was riding through Tibet and nearly froze to death, the monks offered him blankets. He wanted beer. They said no beer, but they gave him whiskey to keep him warm.
So whiskey and blankets.
Whiskey and blankets.
Those sound like cool monks.
I know.
They had some Glenlivet riding around.
I just hope. Great story from Sophie.
They can't have been real monks. Real monks don't drink scotch.
Fake monks.
Hey?
Well, look, I don't know the rules.
Oh, I know you don't know the rules, but
maybe they don't drink it. Maybe they just gave it to him to drink.
Maybe they had it, or maybe they went down to the local IGA.
A little bit of IGA, little bit of contraband.
What would you call that in?
Yes.
Somewhere in Tibet?
I don't.
I'm sure they've got a local IGA there.
I don't know, and if I even try, I think it'll probably come off as very offensive. But I urge Fergal to write a book about this adventure because it's pretty impressive.
Sounds cool.
And the last thing I want to mention at the back end of the show, infrastructure. It's a wonderful thing. Bike lanes, pedestrian access, the Story Bridge, which is Brisbane-Sydney Harbour Bridge, right, Merckxy?
Yes, it is, correct.
It was built,
slightly more grand.
Yes, slightly more grand. It was built in 1940. It is decaying to the point where
it looks like it too.
Well, it was built from the same steel and had the same engineer, Mr. Bradfield.
Yeah,
same steel.
And but they've had to close the bike lanes because they're concerned that the weight of the cyclists riding might make big chunks of concrete fall off the bridge.
Never mind the
the concrete underneath. I thought they were saying our cyclists are too heavy.
Well, no, I mean, there's an insinuation. I don't think they're body shaming cyclists, but they reckon it's going to be close to $1 billion to fix it.
Well, I think they just need to do another bridge or replace it.
Well, Brisbane cyclists are having to take the long way round at the moment, but there you go.
Well, there's heaps of new bridges in Brisbane. It's super cool, the infrastructure they've put in there. They've got all these new walkways across in Brisbane to ride across, so that shouldn't be an issue. But $1 billion.
I agree.
They should just make Brisbane a cycling city like Copenhagen.
Well, interestingly, because Brisbane's a very good cycling city, and that noise is Paris, jumping off the dog bed.
Enough.
Come on, Paris. But they've got one of the highest car rates in Australia.
In Brisbane.
Yeah, which is interesting given how good the infrastructure is and also anecdotally how many people you see out on bikes. So we need to change that because the weather's pretty good too.
It is pretty good. But you remember the Lime scooters they used to have, which is probably another company
Yeah, the
now.
e-scooters.
Yeah, the e-scooters. So do you know when they came out with those Lime scooters, Brisbane was the fastest uptake of scooters on earth. They bring them out globally, and Brisbane was the fastest uptake. So they want to get off the roads. They want to use other
modes of transport.
So it wouldn't surprise me if they did that to have more people on bikes, because screw that. Finding parks in capital cities are a pain in the ass, isn't it?
Well, look, much heavier than the cyclists on bikes are the people on e-scooters.
True. And they're generally going to Maccas.
Wow. Stereotype.
Well, I just say that because I do see a young lady working on Maccas, and she goes on her e-scooter. And
well, good on her. Better than driving a car.
True.
All right. Well, it's been a lot to talk about this week. There's going to be lots to talk about next week too, because we're going to be right in the final throes of the Giro. If you have to pick...
poor Paris. Hey, listen, I've got some grapes here. Do you want me to come and...
Oh, my gosh, Merckxy. You know grapes kill dogs. I only learnt that. They do, Merckxy.
And chocolate.
Yes.
No,
so they're not chocolate-covered grapes, I hope.
I'm just kidding, Jude.
I want you to make a pick so that we can bring it back next week and discuss it. Are you going Ayuso? Are you going Carapaz? Are you going Roglic? Or are you going Del Toro? Or another?
Ayuso is winning this Giro.
By how much?
A couple of minutes. Yeah, that's what I believe. I reckon he's going to ride away in the mountains. No one's going to be able to follow him.
I reckon we're going to get another Aussie stage win.
Who?
Stora.
I reckon Stora, especially because he's tutor, pro cycling.
They'll let him go. He's off GC.
They might let him go. And if you remember when Ben O'Connor won his first Tour de France stage, and you couldn't help but think, oh boy, they've underestimated him. And they didn't after that. I think Michael Stora's there.
I agree. He's having a good year. So you're calling a stage win for Stora? I'm
calling a stage win for Stora, and I'm going to call GC for Roglic.
Yeah.
Wow, that's putting it all out there.
I know. I am going to call.
The old man's going to call the shot.
UAE have too many cooks in the kitchen.
Ooh.
And it's going to work against them. I mean, bold, but I can't choose what you choose. That'd be boring. What about you, Merckxy?
Yeah, I like your style.
Yeah, thank you.
You're liking
one of those too.
You're liking the Rog.
Yeah, well, Pidcock could come good for a stage win too. That'd be good.
Carapaz looks good too, so it's far from over. Very far from over this Giro.
And Pidcock, with his descending skills, that's where...
He's out of GC though.
He's out of GC, but on the mountain stages where there's multiple passes, he can save a lot of energy and...
Yeah,
the descent.
He crashed and punctured the day of the Strada Bianchi, which he would have been earmarked for him as a stage win. So a bit of bad luck there after a great start to the year. But yeah, I'd love to see him get a stage win. That would be fantastic. And also having Kaden for another stage win next week, I reckon. Could be good.
The next three.
Couple of days.
And then obviously the final stage. Last thing before we go, how's life going at Factor?
It's going very well. So, we've got some new bikes coming out soon.
Ooh.
So, if I can, I'll bring one in next time. And the Monza just got released. And, things are going really well. IPT doing well with Derek Guy in the Giro.
Yep.
Derek G, however you want to pronounce it.
And Corbin Strong.
Corbin Strong's been good. Clarkey will be there in a couple of breaks in the mountains, but he's their captain. It's going really well. So enjoying it. It's going really well.
Excellent. Well, we'll be back soon. And we will wrap more up. Thank you for joining us this week. Hank, thank you for joining us.
My pleasure.
Paris, thank you for behaving mostly. And Merckxy, you make the magic happen. So, thank you.
Thanks. Merckxy. Legend, even though he can't.
I think he's having a nap.
When he can't. He's already checked out.
All right.
Getting the Finnegan.
Yeah, and the grapes. Goodness me. See you next time.
Bye.